Yes, for everyone who's been asking, yes, I am recording. You can see up here at the top. Like this means I'm recording this week. For anyone, if you weren't here last week, I was super excited to have the 1.7.20 update kind of ready to show, and I showed a bunch of stuff from that, and then I realized I wasn't recording at the end of the session. So if anyone saw last week's session, that was you're the only ones who will ever see it. Um, but this week, I hope I won't bore some of you, but I'm probably going to go over a few of the same things from last week, just because I am recording this time. So then we have a record of it. So people who want to kind of see how to update mods and things like that can watch this video. Um, so first off, I guess just to ask anyone, has anyone been trying the 1.7.20 update? Has anyone been running into bugs, or have things been working for people? Or has anyone started like updating mods? Just kind of curious, like what everyone's up to. Um,
For me, I would say I don't use any mods or something like this. But yeah, oh, I just missed what I wanted to say. Sorry.
oh, it's quite all right.
Right.
Yeah, most people are still on the. If you look at the main menu on the bottom right, you can see your version, and most people will still be on 1.7.19, which is that's the official version on the store right now. Um, so if you want to play with this new version, for any of you who don't know, if you go to ballistica.net, which is this is kind of where a lot of the tech stuff for the game is, ballistica.net, go to downloads. There's this link at the bottom for Google Play Open Testing. So if you go down here and do sign up, then you can opt into the testing program. So basically, this will mean that on your Android phone, you will get like test builds of the game just through the normal like App Store or the Google Play Store update. So you can become a tester, or you can turn off testing. Um, I pushed out the first test build of 1.7.20 on Google Play a day or two ago, and it was crashing for everybody. So if anything like that happens, which that can happen sometimes, then feel free to just turn off, opt out of testing and get the stable version again. Um, but it should be working now. The 1.7.20 builds on Google Play should be working. Oh, I'm seeing the roadmap, Siegel. Somebody, I haven't even looked. What did somebody ask? There we go.
Oh, now I know what I wanted to say. So
Oh, go for it.
I've got a quick question. Did you try to make a mobile version to create some online games on Bomb Squad? Because it would be like very interesting if you do this.
Yeah, I
Like
mean that's
if you can find a way to make servers
yeah, it does have
mobile.
servers. I mean, there if you go to so the multiplayer servers under Gather, if you go to like public parties, like this is currently the multiplayer stuff. You just find a server here and join it. Um, but a big thing I'm working on for 1.8 and 1.9 and the upcoming versions is making that like easier to use, having like what's called a
Oh,
squad system where you
okay.
can invite some friends to your squad and then play against other squads and things like that.
Oh, all right, all
But
right.
there
So,
is online stuff though, so if you want to take a look at that, it's just you have to go through this gather tab.
oh, all right. So I'm just thinking. Are you making like new characters? Because your character is the character that you've made is kind of nice, but if you can make like even more, it would be even better.
Yeah, that's going back to roadmap Siegel. That is that's a common question, and there I do plan to make more characters and more maps for probably
Oh,
the 1.8, which is the next kind of big version coming out.
all
So
right.
yeah, like what I've been working on is getting the technology in place, or getting the game to support things like downloading new characters dynamically and stuff like that, so that we can add new characters more easily. But most of that work, or a lot of that work, is done now. So 1.8 should have some new stuff. I know people have been waiting for a long, long time. Um,
Oh, all right, all right. So, and if you and will you make like some offline games?
I mean, most.
Like
What do you mean by offline?
I mean, like there's the fighting, there's the football, there's the epic version when you're fighting.
Hmm.
I make like like another games for offline. I mean, I don't know how to say it big, but like I mean, like, when you're playing offline without any connection, you can play it. And I'm thinking about if you can make like another gameplay.
I mean, well, most of the co-op section, like you can play those offline. So those are single player kind of games.
Yes. I'm talking about this.
So yeah, I mean, there's a decent selection of that stuff. So if you're ever offline, just go to play single
Yes.
player
I
co-op.
know, I know. I
Um,
know, but like if you can make like even more, it would be even better, I would say.
so yeah,
I want to say, I mean.
I do hope to do that sometime too. There are a lot of like if you get into the modding community, that a lot of people have made a bunch of new mini game types and things. So you can install some of those and then play some of that stuff offline.
Oh,
But
all
yeah,
right.
I do I would like to make more mini games. That's always my hope. I keep getting
Maybe I could give, I could give like some ideas. I would say, why don't you make like a soccer game?
yeah, a lot of people have. There's a number that some people have made some really good soccer games. We were playing one a few weeks
Yes,
ago. So like if you hang out on the Discord here in like some of the modding channels, people can probably
yes.
point you.
I saw it. I saw it.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, if we can make like servers with it, it would be very nice. But the problem is, if we like, if those people like stole like I don't know the script of how you did make the offline game and use it to put it like online,
Hmm.
it would be kind of bad. But it could be possible.
Yeah, it should. I mean, you can install mods and like spin up your own server with your own game types like soccer and things like that and mods that people have made. It's a little bit tricky right now because you have to anyone who wants to connect to that server has to like install the textures and stuff and the models into their game, and so
Yes. I know.
it's very
I
annoying.
know.
So that's part of
Yeah, it
1.8.
is sometimes.
A big feature in 1.8 is that you won't have to do that anymore. You'll be able to like join a server that has mods on it, and it'll just download that stuff magically.
Oh,
So that
oh
should make it
yes.
a lot easier to make servers with custom games like soccer and things like that.
Oh, all right. And about soccer, so you could make like some other sports like rugby, American football, or I mean like rugby. You can make basketball. There's a lot of online games like this, but I would say basketball ones are kind of rare, and
Yeah, we've
volleyball too.
yeah, I think I've seen both. Someone's made basketball and volleyball. I think I forgot who did it, but yeah, I've seen some mods do
You
that.
can you can just see it online. Just need to search volleyball. You can find a lot of people that has made.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's
But
basketball and JRMP. That's yeah one of that particular
I
mod that was
hope
good.
I
Um,
hope you made I hope you made those ideas. I would say because it would be very great.
yeah, I definitely. I mean, that's kind of the world I want to move towards is where people can make mods like that, and I can make mods like that and kind of share them online, and then everyone can play them very easily. Just with their friends. So that's kind of
Oh, I got another idea. Why don't you make like a custom clothing or hats? I mean,
that's. I think that'll also be in 1.8. I do want to make more variations for the existing characters. Like more different styles and things like
yeah.
that. So
All right.
again, I'm kind of waiting for the technical features there, like being able to download that stuff automatically. That's kind of
Oh,
the big thing I've been waiting for and working on, and so that'll be there for 1.8, and so I think that'll like open the floodgates for that kind of stuff. I hope. Uh,
all right then.
so cool. Well, sorry to cut you off again. I'm gonna go ahead and do a demo or two real quick. Um,
Okay.
so if no one minds, I'm gonna maybe do the same demo I did last week of just like updating a mod for 1.7.20. Um, if anyone, as long as no one has any major objections, I'll try to go through it faster this time. But just so I have something to point people to, like, oh hey, this is how you can check your code. Um, and yeah, maybe some of you weren't here last week. So basically, the big thing in 1.7.20, I'll try to kind of go through this faster than I did last time, is that all the Python stuff has been kind of reorganized. Oh, and going ahead and getting off on a tangent, our documentation should be building again. So if you go to ballistica.net and go to docs, latest Python API, you can see there's the old one here. You'll still be able to see like API 7, which was 1.7.19, and API 8, which is 1.7.20. But yeah, this is the PDoc documentation. It should have at least, a decent amount of info about all the major classes. It's kind of a big, giant, ugly list here right now, which I don't know if I like, but it at least tells you, like BAC and V1, this is gameplay related code and blah, blah, blah. So if you have any questions about individual like Python functions you should be calling and things like that, check this out. Um, But the main big difference that 1.7.20, this latest update, has is that all the Python stuff has been kind of put in different places. So if you go into source, assets, Badata, Python, you will see like all these new different modules that you're probably not familiar with, like BA Base, BA Classic, BA Plus, BA Scene V1. And it used to be a little bit simpler. There used to be like a BA module or package, and then like a BA STD package, which is like the standard library full of stuff, and a few other ones. But now it's been split out more, which is going to be great in the future because it means that like all the gameplay code lives under this BA Scene V1, but it means that I can split out and make like BA Scene V2, which is like a totally kind of better version of gameplay, or like a changed version of gameplay with like different nodes and different attributes and things like that. Basically, it'll let us evolve the game much cleaner and much faster without having to like break everybody's code. So if you write a mod that uses BA Scene V1, it'll use all the existing node types and all the stuff that you're familiar with. And then when BA Scene V2 comes along, your mod will still keep working. It'll just use the old version of the scene and stuff like that. And so that means we should be able to keep all the classic stuff behaving as it is, but then we can start to do newer, more experimental stuff. But the downside is you have to update all your mods to use this new layout. So all the code that was using like BA STD, you need to change that. Instead of BA STD, it's basically BA Scene V1 lib. I know these names are super ugly, but hopefully they sort of make sense. And so as a demo, just to kind of show how that works, I did this last week, but I went through like Deathmatch, I think, and just updated the code so that it works for the new version. So I'm going to do the same thing this week, except I picked Ninja Fight. So we're going to update Ninja Fight this week. So, all right. So first off, so there's a number of ways you can work with modding. There's not really like one right way to do it, but the way that I work is just with a terminal and on a desktop computer, so I can run all these like MyPy and PyLint and all these little tools that help you debug Python. And so I'm just gonna kind of show you how that works. So I'm gonna go into local docs. This is just where I keep my stuff. Ballistica, which this is just the GitHub repo. This is straight pulled off of GitHub. I'm working in like the public version, so it doesn't have my weird internal bits there. But so if you can get this off of GitHub and get it to the point where basically if you can run, there's a bunch of like makefile commands. So if you can get it to the point where you can do like make prefab GUI release, so it'll kind of put stuff together, download some assets. There it is. It's extracting and downloading bits of the game, smashing all the scripts together, and then it should launch it here in a second. So there's a number of different things in the makefile. You can do like prefab versions of the game where it doesn't have to compile the game. It just like downloads a precompiled binary and then uses like compiles all the assets together. That's what this is. So when you're doing like make prefab GUI debug or make prefab GUI release, you're downloading the existing binary and building assets and then running it. So you're kind of like half building it. Or if you have like a compiler set up, like if you want to get fancier, then you could do like make CMake, and this will actually go through and like compile the game, like all the C++ files. And so this you can get your hands real dirty if you want to do this. So here it is, compiling the C++ stuff. So on the wiki, it shows how to do all this. It shows how to, if you go to, whoops. So there, the CMake version finished. So there's the game. But if you go to the wiki and getting started, this should tell you how to set up your environment if you haven't. So just kind of like installing the basic few things you need. So on Mac, it's like Homebrew. Windows, currently this has to go through like WSL, which is basically Windows subsystem for Linux. So basically the common thread for all this stuff is it needs kind of like a Unixy environment. And so Linux will work for that, Mac will work for that, and WSL on Windows will work for that. But But basically, if you can get it to the point where you can run some of these basic commands, it can be super handy for working with mod code or just working with code in general. And so the big one is if you can get it to the point where you can do make mypy. And I would say this is the most important. MyPy is, at least if you're doing like Python scripting. So MyPy is like a Python type checker. And so there we go. MyPy is, it's jumping through a few hoops and putting a few things together. But okay, there it's running MyPy. And basically, so this is checking all the Python code in the Ballistica repo and checking to see like if the code is calling things that exist and doing legal stuff and all that. So if you can get your environment to the point where you can run make mypy, like you're in good shape. That means you can run the same exact tests that I'm running, and if you change code, like mypy will tell you when it's broken, and so it's super super useful. And so again, I have this make setup, make mypy. If you're not familiar with make, basically what make does is there's what's called make files, and so make files have these little targets. And a makefile is just kind of a convenient place. You can just put all these little targets. So this top one is like help. So see if I run like make help, it's going to run this code. So tools, p command, makefile, blah, 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 blah. And what that does is it basically just like goes through this makefile and spits out what's in it. So that's what this is. Make help is just like giving you a pretty list of what's in the makefile. But anyway, that's what makefiles are, if you don't know that. So there's the make mypy command, which will run mypy on all your code. There is also, though, one thing you'll notice in the makefile is a lot of these commands use what's called tools p command. And so if you look under tools p command, this is just like a little Python script basically that has like all these little snippets of useful code in it. So anytime I want to add some little like bit of like utility thing that I use for something in the project, I just add a little snippet of Python code somewhere under p commands. And then I call these little snippets of code from like the makefile or from other places, or you can call them directly. If I do just like tools p command by itself, that's just going to show me like it'll print a list of everything under p commands. And so one of these p commands is, where is it? MyPy files. So you can see the standard MyPy thing, the MyPy p command, which is what the makefile calls, like this just checks all the scripts in Ballistica, like everything. If you run MyPy files though, you can use this command to check other files. So this is kind of the useful one if you're modding and you want to like check out some of your mods. So to do this, you would do tools -p command and then the name of a file. So if I wanted to check like this SpinOff script, I think this will work. Oh geez. Oh yeah, mypy, I forgot the actual command. MyPy files. So p command, mypy files, file name. Okay, so see, it checked that one script and passed. And so this is where it becomes useful, is that you can use this mypy files on your own files. And so to demonstrate this, again, I have NinjaFight, the old version of NinjaFight right here. So this is NinjaFight from 1.7.19. So this has not been updated at all with the new 1.720, like all these new names like BA base, BA scene v1. This still has all the old stuff. So you see if I run tools p command mypy files on NinjaFight, boink, see I get a bunch of errors, which is super useful. Because when you start to get big code bases like this, it's much nicer to be able to like see what breaks immediately instead of having to like run the game and wait 30 seconds to like get to a point where something breaks and like, oh, I forgot to rename this function. So it's much nicer just to be able to see like everything that broke immediately, in my opinion. So here we can see what is broken with NinjaFight. You can also set this up, like if you want to get fancy, you can set MyPy and things like that up to like run within your editor, so it'll like show you, exactly like where in the code it's broken. Like you can do that like PyCharm decently easily, or like VS Code. I think they have MyPy plugins for those, but Anyway, that's an exercise for the reader. But for now, we just want to fix this thing. So let's go into here. So this is our old version of Ninja Fight. I'm going to turn off this checking. And I'm going to kill P command because we're done talking about that. So now we just have Ninja Fight and our errors. So just going down the list. So you see the first error we're seeing is cannot find blah, blah, blah for BA. And because if you remember, BA no longer exists. Like in the old version, there was a Python package called BA that contained just like everything, or most everything, but that's been split apart now. So that means there's no more BA. So Ninja Fight, basically the way that things work, if you take a look at like game scripts, that's kind of, I don't want to say cheating, but if we looked at game scripts like in the current version of the game, you'll see that like game stuff always just imports BA scene v1. So we're going to do that. So we'll just do import BA scene v1. Except what I'm usually doing in game code is, because this is an ugly big name, I don't want to type BA scene v1. I usually just do it, import that as BS. So this looks familiar if you've done any modding with 1.4. So this is just like a shorthand way to be able to use scene v1 for stuff. And now I'll go ahead and anywhere that you did use BA, I want to replace it with BS. So I'm just going to do a search and replace. I'm going to look for BA dot and replace it with BS dot. So, we're just kind of going back to where we were with BS with everything. So BS, 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 BS. Okay. I did that thing where when you say a word repeatedly, it loses its meaning. It's like BS, what? Okay, so I saved that, and now I'm going to do the same thing again. So clear this, press up to run the same command, and boom. Okay, you can see instead of like 2 pages worth of errors, we're down to like 3 errors. So like that by itself, that was almost all we needed to do. Okay, the next thing is cannot find bastd.actor.spazbot. And you'll see that is because bastd no longer exists also. There's now these different things. And so BASTD, that, aside from being funny, that just stood for Ballistica Standard Library. So that just meant like all the game types and all the actor types and whatever were just shoved under BASTD. And so we still have kind of the same thing, except they're split out. So all the stuff that uses Scene v1, like the existing gameplay stuff, everything built on top of that is stuck in this little library. And it's just called BA Scene v1 lib. And namely, like all the UI stuff, everything that uses the existing UI system, like different window types and stuff, that's all shoved under BA UI v1 lib. So, and then if we came up with a UI v2 or different, or Scene v2 or other systems, then the libraries would just have those same names. So kind of like this is our API, and this is stuff that uses that API. So anyway, what we have to do is simply replace the old library, which is BASTD, with the new one for gameplay, which is Scene v1 lib stuff. So you can see instead of BASTD, we just want BA Scene v1 lib. So again, it's kind of an ugly name, but BA Scene v1 lib. I'm going to auto format to, oh, whoops. Oh, why is it not auto formatting? Oh, I guess it's external to my project, so my auto formatter is not running. So I will just do it by hand, like some sort of caveman. All right, so BA Scene v1, BA Scene v1 lib. Okay, so I changed those 2 spots. So, and everything else is basically the same. Like I didn't move all the actors and the things under that stuff. Like they haven't changed for the most part. There's a few things, but they're mostly in the same places. So you can usually just replace BASTD with BA Scene v1 lib. So now let's save that and see what we got. Run mypy files. All right, down to 1 error. Cool. Okay, play sound. Yeah, I think we ran into this one with Deathmatch last week too. So this is one slightly trickier change. So Ninja Fight line 171. Go to 171. Okay, so we have this win sound. So we probably loaded this up top. Okay, so we did self.winSound equals get sound score. Now here we want to play it. And here I will make a quick mention of the release notes. So if you go to Ballistica, downloads, changelog, or I guess changelog, not release notes, there is a huge honking list of changes for 1.7.20. I think it might be the biggest one so far. Like if we look at the changelog history. Okay, 1.5.0, that was pretty big. 1.7.20 is, I think, definitely bigger. So yeah, it's definitely the at least the most logged set of changes so far. But there's a few changes related to just how things work, and one of them is with the sound stuff. So there's no longer a play sound call. So if we just search for play sound, you'll come up with something for that. Yeah, see, there is no longer a standalone ba.playSound function. And the reason for that is there's a few different types of sounds, and it would have been tricky to make a playSound function that works with all those different types. There's kind of technical reasons, but basically each sound is now able to play itself. So you do get sound to get the sound, and the sound now has a play method. So like if you want, oh, I'm seeing these sad faces here. I apologize, but so to fix this code, it's basically we just do self.winSound.play. And now we make that change and run this, and MyPy passed. So ta-da! So their Ninja Fight is now ported to 1.7.20. If you wanted, there's certain things you could do if you had like a crap ton of places where you were calling play sound, you could like make yourself a play sound function if that makes things easier for you. You could do like from my porting tools import play sound. Just like make yourself a little function to make that smoother. But for me, I just did a search and replace for anywhere that play sound happened, and then just replaced it with the play method here. So that is basically that. So that is we've just ported Ninja Fight. And I did this last week too, but I'll do it again. I'm just now going to just run a diff to see if this port that we just made, if that is exactly the same as the one that's included in 1.7.20. So let's do open diff desktop Ninja Fight versus this BABA scene v1 lib game. All right, desktop Ninja Fight that we just made versus official Ninja Fight. Go. It always takes OpenDiff a moment to launch. Whoa. Okay, there's... Aha. Okay, so there's... Oh, I see what happened. It did run formatting, but it didn't have my formatting settings. So we use what's called black for formatting, and one of the things black loves doing is it changes all the single quotes to double quotes, which I do not like. You can tell black to not do that. I'm a big fan of single quotes. I think that looks nice and clean and pretty. I guess everyone has their own opinions, but so yeah, if you look at like the Ballistica settings, like one of the things it tweaks for black settings is like, don't change my quotes. So aside from the fact when I ran this formatting, it changed all the quotes. Aside from that, and just like layout changes, I think we did exactly the same thing as... Yeah, I don't see any changes that are not like formatting related here. Oh, and it moved this down to below. That's about the only thing. Oh yeah. And again, this exact same thing happened last week. I forgot to update the API version. So did I see a new more roadmap stuff? I love it. So that's the API version. For those of you who don't know, Ballistica has this magic BA meta statement, which is really just a Python comment. But when the game launches, it will look through its folders full of Python stuff, and it'll look for things with these tags. And this is basically how the game knows like where it can load stuff from. So if you have one of these tags in here, it knows that like this BA meta export game. It uses this to to see that like, oh, there's a game here I can load. So then it'll like import your module and try to load that game. Um, and part of that is this require API bit. And so so the API version has been bumped from 7 to 8 with this latest version, the 1.7.20. Just because there's all these changes. Like basically I wanted to say like all the old code, like we're not even going to try to load old code because it probably is broken terribly. So when you update your code for all this new stuff, like we just did, the other thing you have to do is update API 7 to 8. And so once you've done that, throw that in your mods folder, and 1.7.20 should load your code. If you haven't updated that, you'll probably see an error message like found an old plugin that needs to be updated or something like that. So that's just something to be aware of, is this API version stuff. And I've also, as I mentioned before, hopefully this is the last time that I will have to change API version, because basically that is, like the whole reason for that existing is so that I can avoid loading code like after I've changed a bunch of APIs, because old stuff will be broken. So it kind of forces people to update their code. But now that we have all this versioning stuff, like we're able to split things out into like scene v1 and scene v2 and whatever. I'm hopeful that I won't have to change scene v1 anymore, or I'm hopeful that I won't have to change UI v1. So if your stuff uses these old versions, it should just keep working. We shouldn't have to like redo your, I shouldn't have to make you redo plugins and things. I can't promise for sure, but I'm very hopeful that API will stay at 8, at least for a long, long, long time. So that is that. Yeah, that is my demo of updating a mod. This is largely kind of what I did just to get everything updated, because I've moved around like hundreds or thousands of files, and I had to change like every single bit in every file. So it was largely just like using MyPy and looking for all these things and fixing them one at a time. That's why it took like several months. But I'm very happy everything's done now. Everything's very like clean and organized, and I'm very excited for what we're going to be able to build on top of this. So that being said, yeah, that was the demo there. So now I will look through and see what questions or comments I've been missing here. Or if I missed something, just type it again. What text editor does Eric use? So I use a few. I use Emacs because, being all cool and old school. Emacs has been around since like caveman times. I wouldn't really recommend Emacs unless you really like tinkering or, really like debugging weird issues and stuff. I kind of like it. It's just, this open source, super old Unixy editor. You can kind of make it do everything. But it's not as nice as like modern IDEs. And I should say I do sometimes use modern IDEs like PyCharm. PyCharm is a great one if you want to use that. I keep everything like working well, or working decently in PyCharm. So if you just,
oh my God,
I think you got your mic on. So yeah, PyCharm, you can run all this stuff through PyCharm. MyPy, there's a MyPy plugin for PyCharm. PyCharm is nice because you can do like higher level stuff like refactoring, like renaming classes, and it'll do all that for you. So, but a lot of people like VS Code and stuff too. I don't know. Do you folks have any other favorite editors? Emacs versus Vim. Oh yeah. Are there any like Emacs or Vim people here? I am curious, or is that just like for old people? PyCharm, cool. Yeah, PyCharm's good. Like I said, I switch back and forth between Emacs and PyCharm. I have Emacs working pretty well, but for higher level stuff, PyCharm's great. NeoVim, VS Code, cool. I should, part of me thinks I should just like switch to using VS Code or something where it works more out of the box, but it's almost like a spent cost fallacy. Like I've spent so much time getting Emacs working well and like learning how to use it and whatever. I feel like I'm just gonna like keep doing that. Nano. Hey, and loading times are important. I recently switched like my git commit thing. Like when you do like a merge comment, or when git needs a comment from you, you have to tell it what editor to use. And I had mine on Emacs, and I switched that to Nano because it takes Emacs like maybe 2 seconds to launch with all the weird crap I've got on it. But like that 2 seconds annoyed me. Like when I'm checking something in and I just want to like go with the default merge comment, like I don't want to wait for 2 seconds. So you know, launch times matter. Oh, here's the from the roadmap comment. I would, yeah, I would love Xbox, PS, and Switch. I'm guessing Switch would probably be the best target at first because you know, Switch has the really easy like local multiplayer kind of setup going, and so that would map well to the game. And you know, the game doesn't need like it doesn't have huge hardware requirements, so I feel like that would work well. But yeah, that's the point is after 2.0. Um, 2.0 is all about again roadmap stuff, but the big plan for 2.0 is iOS and Steam. So I don't want to like add too many platforms to my plate, you know, before I get those done. Oh yeah, and Ballistica.net editor. I should mention that one. So I do want that one to work well. So if you are, yeah, I think there's other videos and other things covering this, but like the Workspaces editor here, if you want to, you know, it's not super fancy, but it's got syntax highlighting and it gets the job done. Um, I do want to like get something wired up here, like basic like MyPy stuff, something where you can do like run basic code checks, like just from the online editor here, so you don't have to like set up an environment with MyPy and PyLint and this and that. Like it'd be super awesome to just let people run the same checks I was just showing you, but like automatically, just on a workspace without needing a terminal. Um, Hi Tripex. I am good. How are you? And yeah, but I would be curious. Yeah, like modders, like it'd be interesting to do a like a poll just to see who uses what editors. I know there's some of you that are. Oh, what's that?
Hello there, Eric.
Well, hello.
I'm kind of nervous right now.
Oh, that's okay. I always am too. I mean, I feel like speaking is always a
Oh,
nervous thing.
oh, what?
What was that?
What was that?
Oh, I said I feel like I'm always nervous too before like speaking, you know, in front of people.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But by the way, I've been working on this project for the past 2 months, and I think the trailer's almost finished.
Uh-huh. Very cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah. You should ask SOK.
mhm. So which project is this?
Uh,
Or
it's
is it not revealed yet?
I've been inspired by Sock and you.
Cool.
So I am. Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous, bud.
Right, all right. So what I've been doing is that I've been making an animation.
Uh-huh.
An animation like there's gonna be one season of this, one season of that. Yeah.
That's super awesome. Yeah, it's amazing what Sock's been doing with like making entire like
Yeah.
shows and stories and stuff. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
so yeah. I hope it's going well, and yeah, you should definitely show it when you're comfortable or when you
So
get to that point.
just like you, I do this stuff for like a hobby. Yeah, I just do it because I feel like it.
But that's good. I think that's the best reason to do things. I mean, it technically is my job, and you know, it's like I kind of have to make money from it. So there's like it's not a full hobby, but I think if that's the reason for wanting to do it, like in the first place, I think that's great.
Uh, so there is no e- there is no ETA of each episode since I'm the only one animating. I'm the
Yeah,
only I'm the only one animating. I'm the one doing everything myself.
that's okay. It's like, I mean, that's the good thing about passion projects too, or things that when they aren't a job, is that like you can take your time with it. I guess that can get into a trap sometimes if you take too much time with it. You know, it's hard to find inspiration sometimes to like finish. But yeah, it's nice to not have like money pressure and things like that.
So, so Eric,
Hmm.
do you grant my permission to, make an animation based on your game?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, you can talk to me offline if there's specific stuff in terms of like putting it on YouTube, or or if you have specific like questions or something. But in general, yeah, I definitely want to be open with people. I love when people make stuff using the characters and all that.
Oh, all right then. I gotta go now.
Okay, well, good chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Good day to you too.
You too. Yay. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love. I mean, again, that's kind of why I started doing this stuff. It was just like for fun, just to learn how to code. I think that's how I learned Python, is just kind of messing with this hobby project. And so I love hearing about people kind of, using it for the same purpose, or being inspired to do that, or yeah, just doing stuff for fun. And for me, it kind of eventually, if anyone hasn't heard this story, it's like I was making Bomb Squad just to play with my friends. Like we would just play it at like LAN parties between rounds of like Halo and stuff like that. And so I think it went for like 6 years. Bomb Squad existed as just something like me and my friends would play. It was just kind of goofy. And then at some point, some friends of mine who they got in really early on like the Apple iPhone App Store, when that like blew up really big. Like they made a game called Zombie Gunship. If anyone ever played that, it hit like number one grossing on the Apple charts and stuff. So they were super successful, and they were kind of always like nagging me because they had played my game, and they're just like, Eric, you need to release Bomb Squad and whatever. So I finally I took some time and cleaned up Bomb Squad and released it on the Mac App Store, and yeah, I did. It was very successful, or pretty successful. I mean, it went up. It got to like number two on the charts, I think, the first time I put it there. Um, and so that led to one thing led to another. At some point, I wound up porting it to mobile and releasing it on the Ouya console, a little like Android micro console that came out in 2013. Um, and then it did decently well on there, but then like Amazon was launching the Fire TV, and they saw my game on the Ouya, so they reached out to me, and like Google reached out to me to get it on Android TV, and Oculus reached out to me to get it on when they were launching their Gear VR, like mobile VR headset. And so it opened a lot of doors, and at some point it became clear I could just make that could be my career, is just working on my little hobby. So yeah, that's how it worked out, and so I've just been working on that ever since, doing this game stuff. Um, so yeah, if I don't know if that's inspiring to people, if you have a little hobby that you just like doing, and you enjoy playing it with your friends or just doing it for fun, just keep at it, and maybe it'll turn into an opportunity. Um, so when I first launched, it was the Mac App Store. So that was in 2011, I think. I should have saved like the exact dates. Um, I have some like screenshots of like the Mac App Store when it launched, and like it got up to number 2 or 3 or whatever it was. Um, so it was 2011 on the Mac App Store, and then a year or two later, I did the mobile port, and then it launched on like the Ouya in like 2012 or 2013, and then or maybe that was 2012, and then Google Play or Android TV along with the rest of Android 2013, I believe, and that's when I added like basic networking. So that's kind of the version that most people saw for the first time, because there's a lot more. I mean, I guess it's grown a lot, but Google Play is a lot bigger of a market than like the Mac App Store. I know like the iPhone App Store is a big market, but the Mac App Store not as much. Oh, so yeah, so Mac App Store, Mac App Store was first, and then the Ouya, and then yeah, Google Play I think was third. Amazon was in there, so or maybe Amazon was third. I'm not sure. Amazon and Google Play were similar time periods. It's never been on iOS, and it will be. It's always been on. Well, this is where I get in trouble. It's like technically been running on iOS since 2012, but I've never officially released it. And the reason I'm not doing it right now is because I can't. This would be a terrible time for support costs. Like I'm right in the middle of trying to roll out, get all this server stuff going and rolling out like squads mode, which will be a complete like revamp of my server architecture. And I need to like update my master server because it's going to stop working in 6 months. So there's all this infrastructure stuff needing doing. So this would not be a it would not be a good time to like double my user base or something like that, or bring in millions of new players. I mean, who knows? Maybe it wouldn't make a big splash. Maybe it would go unnoticed. But I'm guessing that it would be a substantial flow of new users coming in. So I really want to get all the server stuff in a good place, and get squads mode working well, and get everything kind of to where I feel comfortable like flipping a switch and adding a few million more people. So yeah, that's kind of a question, is like how to build hype on like a 2.0 version, because I do want to treat 2.0 as kind of like a re-release, or kind of almost like a new game in a way, just kind of new branding stuff, new this and that. Just because I want the iOS people, I want it to feel like it's kind of a new game that everyone's getting, and not like, oh hey look, we're getting a 12-year-old game. How cool. Um, so yeah, that's definitely something to think about, like maybe an updated trailer or things like that. Um, which yeah, it does make it tricky because I do want to be open with development and stuff with all of you folks on here. I think like for me this is a fun way to work. Uh, I'd love to like test squads mode and iterate on things, and so in a way like I don't want to keep things secret. I don't. There's something cool about like how companies like Apple will keep something secret and then have a big reveal and everyone gets to see like the finished product. But I don't think I can work that way. Because it's just me. Like I kind of I like working with the community now. Like since I've had this Discord server and all of you folks to bounce ideas off of and stuff, I think that's kind of neat. So it'll be interesting to see like how can we kind of make 2.0 hyped, even though it's not like a fresh surprise secret reveal for people. No, I don't plan on anything being separate app or software. I do I do plan on 2.0. Like in my mind, my plan is that 2.0 will switch to like the squads mode being the default. Like classic mode, like the existing stuff will be still there. It's just like maybe you'll have to like hit a switch to classic button or something. By default, it'll just put you into like squads mode. So it's just like, hey, invite some friends, play a game. So like once we get squads mode working well, I feel like 2.0 will be like that. That'll kind of be like the relaunch. But again, I don't want to I don't want to like launch a fresh game, and I don't want to like rip the old stuff out. I want to keep the old stuff working and then like just have the new stuff kind of work separately or be in addition to it. And that's kind of partly why I've been working on all this stuff, like being able to split out things. Like BA Classic is a lot of like old code that a lot of the old stuff uses like playlists and things like that. Squads mode will probably not use a lot of that code, so just trying to keep this stuff organized so that we can have like squads mode, which is evolving and new and different stuff, but also have like all the stuff people have built still work once they get it updated for 1.7.20 at least. This remains to be seen. I'm kind of thinking about that, like yeah, rebranding it as something slightly different. I mean, Bomb Squad will still be in the name, or it'll still be, yeah. That's a good question, like whether, because I don't want to like lose name recognition. I don't want to like rename it to something else. But yeah, maybe calling it like Bomb Squad 2.0 or 2 or something like that. Or so yeah, we'll see. Uh, would it now be possible to mod custom CPP stuff through SpinOff and feature sets post 1.7.20? Yes, definitely. I do want to do more tutorials and things like that, because that's part of this, is like these feature sets. That's where I wrote this BA template feature set. And this basically shows how to make your own feature set with your own C++ code and your own like Python API and whatever. And using SpinOff, you should be able to basically make a Git repository, which is nothing but your feature set. And then it pulls in the rest of the engine like around it using SpinOff. So like you can just work on your feature set and just keep automatically like updating the Ballistica engine around it in the background. And then meanwhile, you have your cool feature set doing whatever you want it to do. So I like I said, I want to come up with a tutorial, or maybe just dedicate like a demo to that, or a little of both. Um, but yeah, it should be possible to do fun like C++ mods, or just make your own kind of spin-off app that it's kind of uses some Bomb Squad stuff, but not all of it, or a purely single player experience or something like that. So I'm really excited about like all that, like the whole spin-off thing. I've been using SpinOff for probably 5 or 7 years now myself, or basically since 1.5. Whenever I renamed it to Ballistica, which I guess was 1.5, because yeah, SpinOff is the thing that takes Ballistica core, or like the Ballistica repo, and it turns that into Bomb Squad, which is up until now it's been mostly the same thing, just like renaming things. But my idea has always been like it could be used for more, like creating other different projects. Like I said, I want to redo like the remote app to use this system and stuff like that. Bomb Squad rebombed, yeah, yeah, something like that. Like adding like a suffix to it, just something to make it seem like it's an update or like a different game, but it's not. Like I said, I kind of, a big part of this is like keeping things manageable, and so for me that means like I really would like to only have one game out there, or one app, and just keep updating that app if possible, as opposed to like building up a set of apps, and then I have to worry about like, oh, I need to update this old one, but it's incompatible with this and this. If I just have like one app out there, then I just keep that app updated, and everyone comes along for the ride, kind of. So Bomberman, it might be slight legal problems with calling it Bomberman. I'm not sure. Don't Hurt the Penguin. We should call it Don't Hurt the Penguin. That'd be a good name. Bomb Squad 2, Don't Hurt the Penguin. Just like a subtitle. So, yeah, I would like to do, I'm hoping to do a maybe, yeah, up on the GitHub, like the wiki section, maybe like a little step-by-step like spin-off tutorial, like I said, like how to make your own Git repo that, makes a spin-off, or uses spin-off to just like add your own feature set in. Um, I feel like that could be fun. We could build up a little set of like people building their own little feature sets, and then we could all just kind of share feature sets. It wouldn't be as easy as sharing mods, but it wouldn't be too hard. Like, you should be able to do it with some symlinks, basically. Like if you have a spin-off repo, you could like pull someone else's GitHub repo in as like a submodule, and then like symlink a few things into the right place, and then you're basically like using one of their feature sets, but also adding your own feature set. I don't know. So lots of fun ideas we can do. But again, I will hopefully make a tutorial or something like that soon. But yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I've been adding a ton of tests. So like for now, I mean the simplest one, just to go over what's happening, is local docs Ballistica. I'll try not to get too technical here because it's kind of dry and boring. But if you do make tests, I'll just do tab complete. Or wait, spin-off test. Spin-off tests. There's a bunch of different ones here. So I will do spin-off test core. So what this is doing, it tells you what it's doing. It's basically creating a little spin-off project under builds spin-off tests. And it's spin-off test core basically rips out every feature set except for core. So see there, it's compiling it, running MyPy tests, and everything passed. So yay. So if we do open build, spin-off test, core, you can see this is the little project that we just made. This is a little project. Instead of being called Ballistica Kit, it's called spin-off test. And you can see it has all the same stuff, except, whereas in here we go into source Ballistica, and we see all of our little feature set systems here. Base has all this junk. The one we just made, it has like nothing, but it still builds, which is the cool part. That's the part that I just spent months making it work. If you come into config feature sets, you'll see there's just the core feature set. Whereas, if you come into the full repo here, config feature sets, you'll see all these feature sets. So yeah, so this is basically this is like an empty shell of the engine. You can't really do much with just core. Like I think you can spin it up and run Python commands, and that's about it. There's another one here you can do. If we come back into our repo and do make SpinOff test base. So this one gets a little bit fancier in SpinOff test. So this is making a new project which has core and base. So there's two feature sets in here. So if you come into source, Ballistica, you'll see that, you know, at least has all this base stuff. So it's base is basically like the engine guts. It's like, you know, the code that creates Windows or does audio, or like the graphics engine, like the non-game parts, like the kind of, you know, the generic engine parts. So if we compile both of those, then we almost have something usable. I think, yeah, this is where the demo goes awry. Like this won't actually build. If I do this from my internal one, if I do internal make SpinOff test base. Sorry, tell me if I'm boring you again. I'm getting all technical, but so I'm gonna run the base SpinOff test from my internal repo, which just, you know, has a few extra things. The main difference is my internal repo like builds assets locally, whereas the public GitHub one will download them. And there's an issue I need to fix with downloadable assets, or having it download the assets, that makes the SpinOff test break. But on this one, if I go to builds SpinOff test base. Okay, so here's the project we just made. Again, just to check, it's so just two feature sets, so it's just the basic parts of the engine. But if we come in here and do make CMake, see here you can see it's compiling assets and doing its thing. But so we're building this basically empty version of the engine right here. Compiling. If this finishes, which I believe it will, you'll see something kind of cool. Okay, compiling. There it got done with assets. Now it's compiling binaries, or the single binary. SpinOff test. Okay, cool. So hey, we have a running window thing, and you can see there's graphics, there's sound. Like this is the engine running. This is you know, the guts behind Bomb Squad. It's just there's no gameplay in here. You know, so like scene v1 is not here, UI v1 is not here, so there's no UI. There's really nothing for it to do aside from just like sit there and show you an empty screen. But it's just kind of neat to see like the engine running without the Bomb Squad part. So that's kind of the neat thing, is like you can take that part and you could replace scene v1 with your own complete, you know, set of whatever, you know, like spin off something that's based on scene v1 but make a RPG out of, like a single player RPG out of it or something. I don't know. So there should be some fun ideas we can come up with. So that is SpinOff, and I will get more into SpinOff. As I said, I'll try to write a tutorial or something and talk about more how that works. Yes, there is no BA or underscore BA. Yeah, go and rewatch the little upgrade part I talked about. I went over that. There's no BA. It's replaced with scene v1 or base or other things. In most cases, you can just replace all your BA stuff with BA scene v1. Or if you're writing window code, you can replace all your BA stuff with BA UI v1. That's largely what upgrading consists of, is just like the module names have changed. And like I said, there's a handful of things like, you know, have the sound playback stuff, but it's mostly just module names changing. So yeah, sorry. Again, this will hopefully be the last time I have to ask everyone to like edit their plugins, because now that, you know, now that everything is not like thrown in the same big pile of stuff, everything is like split out into its own little clean containers. We can add more containers instead of throwing things on the pile. You know, at some point, writing a game like this or writing an engine like this, at some point it does kind of feel like you're just like throwing more stuff in this big pile, and it's just getting more and more unmaintainable. And so I think you have to kind of spend some time splitting that pile apart and keeping it, maintainable by making separate piles. And then each of those piles builds up. But then you can like throw an entire pile away. But yeah, API is 8 now. BA has just been split out into different things, so that's basically the gist of the update. And yeah, test builds are available. Google Play test builds are out. Again, if you're running into errors on Google Play test builds, please let me know. I have like auto logging and stuff, so I see some errors, but I can't see everything. So if you get weird things where it just or if it doesn't error but things just like spin forever or something like that. Also, I had a question: is as modders and whatnot, when do you think would be a good time to actually release 1.7.20 to the world? Anyone have an opinion on that? Like, do you think would there be a good amount of time to let everyone kind of update mods and things, or I could release it soon and then it would just be a mad scramble for everyone to update stuff? I mean, there's the downside too, is that like if people update their mods, you can't really distribute those mods until 1.7.20 is out. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing. What do you think would be a good time for releasing? Well, Sock, I would say for your stuff, like you don't have to hurry because you're basically making a total conversion, and you're kind of like distributing your own essentially complete app copy, so you don't you wouldn't really gain too much by jumping to 1.7.20. So I would say for you could probably almost wait until like 1.8 or something where there's actually new features built on top of all these changes, and then you would like gain something from the port. I mean, porting right now will just it'll kind of prepare for 1.8. Like if stuff is ported now, it shouldn't break for 1.8. I don't think, because 1.8 will not be. It really shouldn't be changing any APIs. It'll only be like adding new APIs. But yeah, basically, Sock, I don't think. I would say out of all people, like you shouldn't feel too terribly urgently like like that you need to update. Next year, I can't wait like that long. I gotta release this sometime soonish. Also, it's a little scary. Like I mean, I guess I could go back to 1.7.19 and like patch in a bug fix or something, but it's a little bit like I'd rather not do that. So if bugs happen, or if there's vulnerabilities come up or things like that I need to patch, it's like I can't really patch them until 1.7.20 is out there. So I don't want to sit on it for too long. I do want to make sure that it's stable though. I don't want to be like putting something out that is crashing or behaving unpredictably. I know it's going to mess up plugins and things like that. It's going to be a bit of work. Hopefully one-time work, but so if anyone has any strong feelings on when you think would be a good time, my assumption would be like maybe in a few weeks or a week or two or something, or start rolling it out like slowly over that course, like to a few percentage of the people or something. So yeah, slow rollout. Maybe starting in a few days, I could do like 1%, and then up to like 5%, then 10%, or yeah. So that would seem reasonable. So maybe like one more week of like testing and just having it be purely test builds, and then start rolling it out to the world. That would work for me. Maybe I'll plan on something like that. But again, if no one, or if anyone has any strong feelings or opinions, please holler. Like I don't know how fast people will get their mods updated or anything like that. So just trying to see like what would be the least painful for the world. But if you're, if you're writing mods for server use or things like that, like you don't necessarily even have to update your mods. Just inform people. Like if you're hosting a server, you just need to use 1.7.19, which should that stuff is all still downloadable and all that. So that's another option, is like you can wait till 1.8, where then it will start to be new APIs like Scene v2 and things like that. Then you don't even ever have to port to Scene v1. And also I mean, I'm sure there's going to be little mini bumps and things like that. I mean, there's a whole lot of changes in here. So I'm sure I'll be, running into some things that need to be smoothed over and stuff like that. Hopefully minor ones. Like, it hasn't been too bad so far. There were there were a ton of bugs when I first, because I really didn't do any testing at all aside from making sure everything still ran. Like, for the past months, I've just been like making code changes, testing it with MyPy, making sure things compile and pass, and then like bringing the menu up and poking around and then closing it, or maybe like launching a game real quick or something. But I haven't been like putting it through its paces and making sure that everything is working. So when I first launched the test builds like last week, it was just like there was so much stuff broken. it was kind of terrible, but it was mostly all pretty easy to fix stuff. So I think most all the major bugs that have been reported have been fixed. If there's things I haven't or that I've forgotten or missed, please remind me. But now I think it's kind of in the stabilizing phase. But there is some other fun stuff too that I want to do some demos of, like app modes. This is kind of what this is talking about, is like app intents and app modes. Like you'll be able to, the app will be able to kind of switch. You'll be able to define a mode in Python or C++, and the app will be able to like switch into that mode. So that's basically what will be there for like squads mode. So squads mode, you'll switch into the squads app mode. So it'll be almost like switching to a different game or something. Like the UI will look different and behave different, and it might start using UI v2 instead of v1, or scene v2 instead of v1. But that might be something that people want to play with mods also. You might want to just make your own app mode, like SOC in the future for Explodinary. You can make like an app mode that's dedicated to Explodinary or something like that. So there's different ideas I'll be showing. But there's some neat tech stuff that's in 1.7.20 also. It's not really being used for anything super flashy yet. So that's that. Anyone have any questions about 1.7.20 or anything else I can go over, or elaborate on, or fix or whatever? Random question. Okay, fire away. All questions are welcome. Body of the flag in the Python layer. Like the rigid body? I kind of don't think there is. I'd have to check, but I think it's probably not exposed. Oh yeah, something like that. I mean, that goes back to like why scene v2 will exist and stuff, so we can make changes like that without breaking backwards compatibility. Because something like that, it would mean adding probably like a new body attribute or something like that. But then that means that, the new versions of the game that have that body attribute wouldn't really be able to talk to the old versions of the game that don't have that body attribute. So that causes all sorts of problems. So then we have to be very careful to like turn off that body attribute if there's an old version of the game talking to it, or like silly things like that. It's hard to like keep track of. So that's kind of my hope, is that things like Scene v2 will make that cleaner, where it's like Scene v2 will have a different set of attributes. All the Scene v2 games, all the games that have Scene v2 built in, they'll be able to talk to each other. But then if we want to make other change to attributes, that'll be Scene v3 or whatever. So we'll probably the Scene v whatever might be evolving kind of quickly as we're adding attributes or whatever. Or if people want to make their own custom versions. So like in your case, you might want to make like Scene v sock or something. Like add your own attributes, and so then anyone with your custom spin-off build of the game will be able to play, where you could expose stuff like that. Why don't I hire programmers? It's kind of like, I don't want to say an eternal question. There's a few answers to that. One is like, I just love working on this stuff. I know it's slow, but I think there's something fun about kind of being able to have it all in my head and just kind of work on all of it myself. I mean, alongside of you folks contributing on GitHub and bug fixes and mods and this and that. Um, I've thought about hiring people, and maybe I will at some point. Um, I definitely want to be careful. I don't want the game to get into a place where it becomes more about making money than about like making a fun game. Because I've kind of seen that a little bit, or I've worked in situations where it seemed like it was more about you know I mean, it's to a degree, like to pay programmers and whatever. It's you gotta programmers aren't cheap, and so it's like you gotta make a decent amount of money. And so like yeah, I don't want to ever like be having to put super sleazy stuff in the game, more so than is there already. In terms of free to play stuff or yeah, I just I like being able to work on the game in a pure kind of way. So as long as I'm making enough money to pay rent, and I live in California, it's expensive here, so it's not the cheapest thing, just paying my own rent. But um, yeah, for right now, it's kind of like I'm just enjoying keeping it small. But again, like maybe that'll change. Who knows? Well, thank you. And I do. I mean, I do have to say, like working with you folks, like I don't want to. I never want this to be like I'm taking advantage of people or like, oh, you guys are haha, doing my beta testing for me, ha ha ha. Like I hope it's like I hope you're getting something from this. That's why part of the reason I'm trying to open source everything and make stuff to where people can make their own projects out of it. And so I hope people are you know getting benefit to this stuff, because I'm definitely benefiting from people feedback and people finding bugs and submitting pull requests that I sadly am slow to get to and things like that. So hopefully it's like a mutually beneficial situation for everyone. So yeah, Bomb Squad is my income at the moment. So yes, I guess that's another thing too, is like I feel like I don't want to talk too much about financials here, but like right now I'm spending a ton on server stuff, like trying to spin up all this V2 server stuff, like running all these AWS servers all over the world. Like that's very expensive. So the game is definitely not making enough money right now to be able to continue running that many servers. So like I do have to worry about that a little bit in terms of like getting kind of a new economy in place so that I can afford to keep running these servers. Especially if I get to squads mode where like everything is running on my servers. Like it definitely needs to make a bit more money to be able to do that. So it's like even when it's just me, I do have to worry about money stuff, but it's still not nearly as much as I would have if if I were having to pay a team of 5 or 10 programmers or something like that. That would be a lot more money to worry about. So, but yeah, I'm definitely yeah, I know, and I'm sure like launching on iOS or Steam or anything like that, that would again get more players. So I definitely have knobs I can turn to get more money. But um, though right now it's like if I have a fixed server cost per person or something like that, like actually adding more players would not necessarily add more money because they're kind of canceling out right now. Um, but yeah, again, that's part of the reason there's no iOS version yet. Is like I need to get the servers to a point where the squads mode stuff is working and profitable enough to keep it going. Um, but yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised too. I've been able to kind of support myself off of Bomb Squad for this long. I know my friends kind of tease me like, "You're still working on Bomb Squad? Like how is that making money?" Um, but yeah, thankfully, like I get a good number of people downloading the game, and I guess continuing to play the game. I'm not quite sure why. If I just got lucky and Google Play just returns my game a decent amount in search results or whatever. It's like I'm not paying for advertising or things like that. So it's just like it organically works out. So knock on wood, it's worked out for a while now. So I'm just very grateful, and I just keep using the time to try to improve the game. Yeah, so yeah, that's how basically all these systems work. Apple, Google, and whatever. They take a cut. It's always traditionally it's been 30%. In some cases now they're down to 15% if you're like a small developer, which I'm a small developer, yay. So that's actually gotten better. A smaller cut is going to Apple or Google or whoever lately. Um, so yeah, but so 15% is not bad. And then for me, it's like the game revenue. It's about like 50% in-app purchase stuff and 50% ads. So it's kind of interesting. It's like almost exactly half and half. Why was Bomb Squad trailer set to non-public? Like on YouTube, is it still set to non-public, or is this something that was the case? At some point, I think I had to put it up on YouTube for one of the app stores, maybe Google Play or maybe one of the other ones. It just like it needed a YouTube URL, but I don't know why I wouldn't have made that public though. I maybe made it like not unlisted or whatever, where it's like accessible to everyone, but not doesn't show up in search results. Uh, oh yeah. I kind of yeah. In a way, I want to avoid overnight success. Kind of. I'm sure there's definitely the potential for that if on the iOS launch or the Steam launch or something. I'm it'll be a like brace for impact situation. That happened when I launched on Google Play. It was really it was a fun time, but like that the first week or two, like I got featured pretty prominently on the Google Play Store and my master server. Even though it was like very primitive at the time, it was just like high scores and not much else. Like it just got annihilated. It held up though. I was using Google App Engine, and which is still what I'm using for a lot of stuff. And so it scaled up, but it wound up scaling up like so many instances to handle the load. Like I was paying some pretty hefty server costs for a few days because there were some things where like I didn't think about like the high score list for the first level. Like everyone would play the game and everyone would jump into that first level, and it would start pinging my server for like contributing their score to the high score list. And so I was getting like bajillions of like requests for that like one thing in the database, and the server was most of them would just like time out because there was just way too much load. And so then like App Engine would like spin up more instances because like everything was busy timing out trying to access that. And so it was this super big inefficient mess, but it actually for the most part it held up. um, so I was pleasantly surprised. So hopefully it would do the same again. I know the server situation is a lot more complicated now with all my like server nodes and the v2 stuff, so hopefully a big surge would hold up again. But that is always scary. You do hear about those games, where they're just not prepared for that level of server stuff, and it just like game is just completely inaccessible for like its launch weekend or something like that. So that's why I'm kind of I want to avoid crazy explosive growth if possible. I'd rather have kind of somewhat organic growth, but little bursts are good. But I mean, there are a lot of people playing on Android, so I figure like any work I do now is I have a decent amount of stress on it already, so it's a good kind of constant stress test. I'm sure it's nothing like a big feature weekend would be, but still. Uh, if you do want to donate directly to me, oh well, without the middleman, I do have I think on fromling.net there's a PayPal link if you do want to. I thought about, or at least there was maybe donate with PayPal, support my code habit. So if you feel like doing that, I can always send you. I should look into this because I had thought about some way people could buy ticket packs or something without or directly from me, where it would just I could give you extra tickets or just cut out that 15% uh, that goes to Apple or whatnot. So I just need to make sure I don't get in trouble for that. I know that they used to have, at least Apple did, like they had weird requirements where you weren't allowed to like sell in-app purchases like off of the store for like less money or certain things like that. But I know they got in like legal trouble in some cases for that, where that's not some places said like you can't stop people from doing that. So I should look into that situation because yeah, if people want to donate directly to me or something like that's cool. Oh, roadmap Seal. What happened now? Oh. BSE is played mostly on Android, like vanilla. What do you mean by that? Like mostly on Android, like vanilla, like the non-Google Play version, or what do you mean by vanilla? Or am I misunderstanding? Oh yeah, my stupid my stupid old blog site. I'm not sure what to do there because like any I haven't posted anything since 1.7 workspaces. It feels a little bit like I have too many options for where to post things. Not that I mean I don't spend a ton of time like posting things in the first place. I feel like my weekly chat with you folks is kind of like my outlet to the world at this point. Um, but there's also like the GitHub. I've been in the past. There's like the wiki there where I was trying to post relevant stuff. Last one was last year. I should post something about 1.7.20. So I'm trying to post there, but then I also have like my old blog site, which is out of date. Oh yeah, it's ugly for me too. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll get my like this used to be before GitHub. This is where there was old API docs and things like that here, but that stuff is all like out of date and not needed anymore. So I don't know. I should revisit that situation, I suppose. And then there's also ballistica.net, which is just basically the 2.0 master server, and there's a little bit of stuff here, in terms of docs and stuff lives here, or there's a merch page here, stuff like that. So there's a few things at this ultra simple little ballistica.net site. So yeah, I don't know. Okay. So anyway, that's mostly. Oh, what do we have here? So many videos that make me feel like I'm on drugs. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's a bug? Oh, I was just looking at like the. Oh, this is separate. Sorry. I was like, what? The game does trippy effects accidentally? But yeah, anyway, the roadmap answer. New maps, 1.8 is the plan for that. Though I can't say for sure. I mean, my thought is 1.8 will have the tech to allow for new maps, downloads and things like that. I don't know if. I'm not sure if. Well, I feel like maybe it would make sense to have some stuff available immediately just so 1.8 is exciting for people. Otherwise, they'll download it and be like, what? There's nothing new. Oh. Oh, interesting. This sounds like a bug. If this is the case, then yeah, we should fix that. In-game ping, earlier it was color-coded, now 1600 ping is also green instead of red. Useless info. Yeah. Huh. All right, yeah, we should fix that. So I didn't, though I didn't actually, I wasn't the one who added the ping meter. Or wait, or do you mean on like the server list, or are you talking like in-game ping? Because in the server list, yeah, I need to fix that if that's the case. It should be showing that as red. Okay, the server list is fine, but the in-game ping is misbehaving. Okay. Adding fatality effect on 100%. That could be fun. Some sort of, yeah, I'm trying to think like what that could be. Okay, so yeah, we should fix that. I'm trying to remember who coded that PR. We'd have to ask them. I mean, the code should be there. It'd be source Ballistica. We could just poke around for it. I think that would be just like random graphics drawing, or maybe logic. Well, we'd have to poke around a bit, but maybe under graphic. Let's search for ping. Set show ping. Okay, so yeah, here we see that code. Merp. Hmm. Yeah, it should be tinted red if it's greater than. So are you definitely seeing that ping is greater than like 500 and it's still white or green? Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I'll try to connect to a crappy server and maybe we can see what the problem is. But it looks, I mean, to me, this code looks like it should be doing the right thing. Requirements for Ballistica, if you want to, I mean, for running it, you should be able to run it on most anything. For building it, you basically just need a, like kind of a Unixy environment. That's what I'm using. You know, I'm running a Mac, which has mostly, you know, Unixy environment for things like make files and running shell scripts and this and that. Like a standard, you know, GCC compiler or Clang or whatever. So there should be more details, and relatively recent version of the OS, you know, it kind of varies, but there should be details under, again, ballistica.net. If you just go, or the GitHub page under the wiki, there's kind of a getting started. I think there's some stuff here about like, you know, system requirements or things you need if you were native layer. Yeah, if you want to like compile the native layer yourself, so like actually compiling the C++ code. It's a bit of info on stuff you need, like CMake. You need CMake installed. Or the Windows version, or if you're running from Windows, you can compile some stuff. It's you to get like a full environment, you kind of need WSL because then you get like all the Unixy stuff. But even without that, you should be able to at least do a little bit. It's just that's a little bit less like officially supported. So yeah, if you have more specific requirement questions, I can maybe ask. But yeah, it's any, you know, reasonably up to date Mac, Linux, or Windows box should work. I do need to get. That reminds me, I need to get the Windows builds. I probably should switch to a newer version of Visual Studio. I have them all building under Visual Studio 2019 at the moment, but I think there's like 2022 or there's a newer version that I should update to because it's all like, you know, free and stuff, so might as well. Plus there's going to start to be like C++ 20 features. It'd be good to be able to use some of those. I'm guessing VS 2019 doesn't have all of them, or maybe it's a not final version or something. Oh, there was who was it? Someone reported. I'll have to check into this. Someone reported like ping issues running 1720 servers. They're saying like they're getting crappy ping. I'm curious. Anyone remember who that was? I guess I could check through. That was probably the Office Hours channel. I haven't had a chance to look into that yet, but I just want to make sure I didn't like fundamentally break something with like the core event loop making pings crappy or something. I need to fix that as soon as possible if that's the case. So if any of you see that, like if you know running a 1720 server and you see that everyone has crappy pings, please holler. Because I redid some of like the core event loop stuff, which should be more efficient now, or it should theoretically. But you know how these things go. Sometimes when you change something like that, there's like a bug in it where it's like accidentally super inefficient or something. Ping color issue. Well, I can take a look here. Let's see. Show in-game ping. Okay. Now let's go find a crappy server. Oh, such a long list. Cool. I should do something. I mean, I need to just focus on squads mode and getting that working, but like there's probably a smarter way to like only show servers that are within, you know, half of the world away from you or something. Okay, so what was the values for that stuff? So we should be seeing... Oh, okay. So if ping is greater than 100, then set color 0.8, 0.80. That should be yellow. So I assume it's probably set to like match these. Let's just join Teams Africa. Oh, Teams Africa is full. Wait. Oh, it is full. Wow, cool. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Not cool. All right. That is definitely a green ping. Let's debug. Okay. All right. New activity. Debugging. All right. I'm just going to come in here and I can build the game. I'll make sure it's happening on this version. Okay, I'll just join any yellow one. Stupid party's full. Oh, this is a different build. This is actually Ballistica Kit, not Bomb Squad, so it has a separate set of preferences. So I have to turn this on. Okay, all right, that is not good. That is green. Okay, so this sets the color. So I'm just going to add a print in here. So where it's doing this drawing, let's just do ping is... So we'll use printf, the standard old like C thing. Print is point to f, new line, ping. Okay. Make CMake. Put that over here. Find a yellow server to join. Whoa. Ping is 0.00. Ah. What? How? What? Ah. Okay, so this code, yeah, this code probably changed in 1.7.20. So now basically it has to like, I added this app mode thing. So for some reason, yeah, it's talking to app mode to get the ping string. Huh. Why would that be? Oh, yeah. Well, so, yeah, basically it's because, so the engine itself doesn't have any idea of what ping means. So that's up to like the individual app mode. So the one app mode we have is like Scene V1. You know, Scene V1 is the old gameplay stuff. So within Scene V1, we know what ping means. So the graphics engine here is basically saying like, hey, whatever mode we're running in, like ask that mode what our, like have it send us a ping string. But that code is clearly broken because basically this is just giving us like a string, like, you know, letters, like 1.01. We don't actually have the ping value here, so we can't. So this is a bug that I introduced, I guess, because the app mode is telling us the ping, but we don't have the value, so we can't change the color based on the value. Does that all make sense? So that means I'm going to need to just add something to app mode or change this to where instead of giving me a ping string, it gives me the value. Um, yeah, which probably, yeah, that makes more sense anyway. So that, I'm going to fix that offline because it wouldn't be too long. That's probably like 5 minutes of work, but that will fix this. So I'll do that right after, I guess right after we go offline here. But thank you for the heads up on that bug. So we'll get that fixed here very quickly. So anyway, yeah, that's our bug discovery learning session for today. So yes, you are officially a bug hunter. We need like a badge or something. Yeah, like I thought of like ways to, like badges or some cool thing people will get if you like find a bug or want to like contribute a translation or something. But then the problem is like people might, with at least with language translations, people might just like contribute nonsense translations just to get the tag, So it's like, I don't know if it's a good idea to reward people for certain things like that. It's like I was reading, I know I've read something where, certain cities or countries used to like, they would give rewards for like bringing in like dead rats or something when they had like pest problems. To try to clean up the pest problems. But then people saw that they could get rewards from bringing in dead rats, so then they started like raising, like farming rats to make money. So it's like stuff like that doesn't always have the right effect. So yeah, not got to be careful with like bug bounties and things. Maybe bugs would be safer, but I guess there's always the fear someone could like introduce a bug so that they could like get a bounty for it later or something. So anyway, did I miss any topics up here? more roadmap stuff. We need just like a permanent like roadmap background as far, or I don't know, something. Or I could just yeah, like maybe I could reserve part of my screen, or I could print out like a giant roadmap and like put it on my wall, like just covering the whole wall. I don't know. I mean, really, it doesn't annoy me too much when people ask about the roadmap. I don't mind answering the similar questions. Oh, there it is again. Why don't you upload Bomb Squad on Steam? Oh yeah. Well, the roadmap sequel is already here, but yeah, that's the plan for 2.0. And for the same reasons I said before, it's like right now servers are in a very expensive, not making money for themselves state. So I need to get everything in a good place, make sure servers are working well, get squads mode working, and making sure that if I add a bajillion new players, it's not going to melt down the server or bankrupt me. So that's kind of why I'm pushing off Steam and iOS until 2.0, when I'll be hopefully ready for them. In the meantime, there's still Windows test builds, so you should be able to still run it on your PC. You just have to kind of do it manually. And I was thinking about like maybe Steam Early Access or something like that, where it would maybe keep the numbers down a little bit, or I could charge a bit for early access. That would also maybe keep the numbers down or help with my server costs. But I'd prefer to have the Steam version be the same free to play setup as the others. So I don't know if that would make sense. All right. Well, any other questions, thoughts, things I forgot to respond to? Otherwise, maybe I will call it a day and get back to work on bug fixing. Is iOS even profitable? Yeah. Honestly, I think iOS is very profitable. It's probably makes not much sense to have a game that is on Android and not iOS. It's been good for me. It kind of like I fell into this case randomly because Google reached out to me to get on Android TV, and then I just winding up on regular Android, like as a default at the same time. So it was kind of like I wasn't really intending to do a full Android release, but it was what it was. So that's kind of why I wound up in this weird place where I'm on Android and not iOS yet. But yeah, I mean, there's like a $99 developer fee for Apple stuff, like per year or something. But if the game is not making more than $99 per year, like I'm clearly not able to, live off of it. So that's not a huge deal. It's more so like like I said, the 30% that you have to send to Apple or Google. But also, as I said, for smaller developers like myself, it's down to 15% in most cases. So that's better than 30. It's not the end of the world. And it's still a lot better than like if I had to try and like sell the game myself, in terms of dealing with, they do a lot of work for you in terms of like dealing with foreign taxes and things like that. Like if I had to, I wouldn't want to try to figure that nightmare out. So it's nice to have Apple and Google kind of just managing all of that stuff and international things, and just, you wind up getting a payment at the end of the month. So it's like, I think it's worth some percentage. So yeah, shoot me a DM after this. So anyway, I hope this was useful in terms of the 1.7.20 stuff, and I apologize to anyone who has to spend some time updating their mods. But hopefully you'll see that hopefully it's worth it in terms of putting things in a stable place where we won't have to update stuff as much in the future. So anyway, it's been fun, everyone, and I'm so very happy I have my little stop recording button at the top I can press this time. That was the I do wish I had a recording of me seeing that I forgot to record last week. I'm sure that was probably an awesome look on my face or something, just like, oh my god. So anyway, everyone have a good week, and yeah, I will still slowly start rolling this out, probably over the maybe in the next week. Maybe I'll do like a very small rollout within a few days or something, like 1%, just to start to dip my toe in the water, and then we'll get this big old thing out on the store soon. So anyway, have a good week all, and I will catch you all later. So peace out.